I think having those conversations with your husband of just acclimating him to like, things are going to be different. Do not take anything personally. Know that I still love you. And sometimes I'm going to get irritated and overstimulated. And it's going to sound like I don't really like you right now, but I do. Still love you. But I'm just trying to learn how to be a mom. And it really is just like through the experience. There's nothing that can prepare you for being a mom until you're in it. So.
Welcome to the Birth Education Center podcast, hosted by myself, Care Messer, an entrepreneur, birth educator, and doula. My team and I want to help you discover your options in birth and postpartum, how to find your voice, and how to use that voice to navigate our maternal healthcare system. You and your baby are not just a number. This information includes doulas too. Now let's get started. I have April here today, and we are going to talk about her birth story. And I'm excited because I got some video shortly after the birth and got to hear her husband squeal and all the things. And so I've been reliving this birth in my head for like 3 months now, maybe 4 months. Is it 4 months?
4 months now, yeah.
So April, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited you're here.
Thank you, Kara. I'm excited to be here too.
So I want to talk a little bit about your worries about getting pregnant, because what that topic said to me, because I'm an educator and I've been doing this for a long time, is something that a lot of women worry about and not very many talk about. So can you tell me what your worries were about getting pregnant?
Yeah, so I struggled with an eating disorder for, I would say, over a decade of my life. And it was always a constant struggle for me to be like, oh, I need to be at a healthy weight. I was always trying to monitor my weight, very obsessed with like counting calories, overworking out. So I was kind of in that mindset, probably a year before I got pregnant. And I was finally getting out of it when I found out I was pregnant. And the first thought that came through my head when I found out that I was expecting was, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain like so much weight. I am going to explode. Like, oh my gosh, like immediate fear. And it kind of, looking back, I mean, makes me kind of sad because it took away of the joy that being pregnant and the beauty of, you know, carrying this baby, which is such like a blessing, was, you know, like it was stolen from me because of my past eating disorder. So I would say that is just such a real fear I feel like a lot of women have, is the weight gain, the feeling that you can't stop eating.
The lack of control.
The lack
right?
of control, yes.
Because this is why we have an eating disorder in the first place, right?
Yes.
I can control this in my life. And I have students that come in over and over with it, and a handful will talk about it. They live in daily shame from what they're eating or not eating, the guilt, and their baby's feeling that, and they know that. And I really encourage anybody that has had that in the past and it's starting to come back up, even if you've been in recovery. We're always in recovery for things like that. But please talk about it with the people that are here to support you, your doctors, your midwives, outside therapists, obviously, your educators that want to help you with that, because they are real things. And those fears can translate right into labor, delivery, etc., because of the lack of control. It's all unknown. And that's just an added layer of what you're going to be experiencing through the labor and birth. Without the right support, it can complicate things.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So a big part of, you know, birth is releasing control. So I had to be okay with, you know, prioritizing nourishing my body and giving my baby the proper nutrients it needs. So that meant eating more calories, making sure I wasn't over exercising, walking a lot more than, you know, running
to make up the difference in the calories.
Yes, exactly. Because your body does need those extra calories to properly grow your baby. So if you're not eating them, your baby could get issues, or it will be malnutrition, maybe in the lower weight chart, birth percentile.
Well, and wasn't that one of your biggest fears, was that what you were doing was going to complicate her livelihood and her ability to thrive?
Exactly. So if I hadn't, you know, taken into consideration like releasing control and prioritizing my baby's health over maybe my goals and what I wanted and what I wanted my body to look like, then that would have probably I don't think my birth story would have been what it was if I hadn't just let go of control. So, yeah.
I remember meeting you at the mall. We met at the eyeglass store because I'm old and needed glasses, and for placenta exchange money, right? And we sat in front of Warby Parker for an hour and a half talking about all of this. Class hadn't even started yet, had it?
No, I don't think so.
Hadn't started, but you had started listening to the affirmations and the nighttime meditation and the release of control, the prioritizing mental health. Like, tell me the things that you did to start preparing for birth, because it started before classes even started. And I was really impressed by that.
Yeah. So again, I am a very big person of prioritizing your physical health. So I was doing the walking, I was doing the workouts and eating pretty clean. Obviously, love cookies, love ice cream. I was having that too. But I was someone who would never like slow down. I would not take the time to address like maybe my mental state in the past. I would just kind of like shove it in the back and just be like, yeah, whatever.
And you were
Maybe,
also an entrepreneur. You owned your own company, and it was
yes.
like the feeding of the clients was a constant thing in that. So I understand that from the entrepreneurial spot where you were coming from too.
Yeah. Yeah. I do own the pet sitting company. So I had clients constantly, I was very busy during my pregnancy. So I didn't have a chance really to slow down physically. So once I started looking into taking CARES class, I was like, oh, wait, mental health is very important. I was already around maybe 20 something weeks at that point. And I finally just was like, okay, I'm going to just take some time to listen to the affirmations, even if it's during a walk, even if it's during I'm driving, even if it's while I'm eating. I just need to like reset my mind and prepare for this process because I want it to be a good one. I want it to be positive. Even if it doesn't go my way, I want to mentally like be able to sustain myself through the process. So, yeah, I just did that. I did a lot of taking a little bit more naps than I used to. I accidentally napped during one of Karen's birth, what was it, her meditations, and slept for the rest of class. That's how much I needed to
It
like
was
slow
like, you
down.
guys, it was so funny because both of them fell asleep. We did the meditation at the end of class. Luckily, we had like maybe 10 minutes of talk afterwards, and we were all trying to wake them up, and they were sound asleep. So we just went on with class, finished it up. And then I texted them and said, when you wake up, give me a call and I will, go over what we went for in class. And so that became the butt of the joke. Like for the rest of the series, everyone's like, oh, I hope April and Paul stay awake. Yeah, it was really funny. So I have had people fall asleep, but they usually wake up. But you guys were like snoring. It was awesome.
I know. So it was definitely needed for me to just slow down. And what else did I do? Yeah, even during meal times, I would try to not have the TV on and I would just kind of like sit there and just like visualize what I wanted my birth to look like and visualize, oh, what's it going to be like having a newborn and trying to get myself excited instead of anxious and nervous and trying to control everything. And even though I did have a birth plan, I allowed myself to be like, it's okay if it does not go according to plan. It's okay if I have to have a C-section. It's okay if there has to be medical intervention. Like I have to be okay with that because I'm not in control. My baby's in the driver's seat. God's in the driver's seat, not me. I have to like remove myself and just be like, that's fine. So yeah, that's
We
basically
call
what I
that
did.
surrender, April.
Yes.
I remember you saying, I see choices in front of me and I'm going to choose the positive part of that choice, even if it's a negative choice, because I can still handle it with grace. And I was like, oh, that's so true. So good.
Yeah.
So true. So, well, I think it paid off. So, can we start talking about your birth story?
Yes, we definitely can. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I, the night before I went into labor, I was like craving gelato. I know it's kind of a weird fact, but we live near a mall. My husband drove me up this big hill because I was like, I'm not walking it. I was, let's see, 39 weeks, maybe like 3 days pregnant. So I'm like on the tail end. And I had a feeling that my baby was going to come early, but again, surrendered to the process. I was getting up there. I'm like, yeah, like could be 2 weeks late. Like, who cares? I was in the process of planning date nights for my husband 2 weeks out. I'm going to milk this time. This is great. So I waddle over to the gelato shop, get my gelato, head home. Once I'm home, I'm like, oh, some stuff is happening. Like, oh, this feels a little interesting. But again, I just went to bed, didn't really have any problems throughout the night, just kind of woke up to do my pee runs. And I woke up in the morning with the intention of hiking Torrey Pines. I had been doing it since I was like 36 weeks pregnant because my husband just woke up one day. I was like, let's do that. Let's go. So I woke up, and as I'm getting ready, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of feeling things a little bit more, but I'll be fine. And we're
I love
driving.
labor denial. So thank
I
you
know.
for that.
Yes. It was totally labor denial. I was downplaying everything. We're in the car driving there. My husband's looking at me. I'm making noises like, and he's like, I think we should probably walk on the beach instead. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And when we get to the beach, he starts timing my contractions, and they're already about like 5 minutes apart. And he's like, oh, okay, like it's not too soon. We'll just walk. And once we get back to the car, it was like 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Like it was going quick. But I was like, it's not painful. Like, I'm fine. I'm great. Let's go back to the apartment. We'll chill. We'll get breakfast, whatever. And we get
Had you
home, and
talked to
all
your
of a
doula
sudden,
yet?
no, I hadn't. I think we maybe, no, I don't think we had contacted Lydia yet. Like, oh, you just oblivious. Like, oh, yeah, like it's going to be a little while. My water hadn't broken. I'm just like, oh, yeah, we're good. So I get home, and I thankfully had finished my birth plan the night before. I had started packing, but I was like packing a little bit more. And right when I finished packing, it was just like boom. So we contacted Lydia and our doula, and we were like, oh, like we're starting to have contractions and stuff. Maybe
We're
like we'll just
starting.
call you.
They started
Yeah.
last night and went through the whole beach walk, but we're just starting right now as
I
they're
know.
completely intense.
Yeah, starting to intensify. Like we'll let you know when we need you. And he's making me breakfast, and I'm starting to like writher in pain. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling things. So we called her, and I think she got there within 30 minutes. But by that time, I'm literally on the floor. My husband's doing the rebozo on me. It's like I think less than a minute apart at that point. Like he's like running to the car to put the stuff in the car. I'm like in pain. Lydia gets there, and she told me afterwards, I honestly was like, we need to get in the car now. You may not make it to the hospital in time. But she like lovingly was like, okay, I think we should just like head to the hospital. Like, are you ready? Do you feel like you're ready? And I'm like, yeah, I think I'll go. So I put on the 40 blinks, which is just like eye mask to help me not like get overstimulated by my surroundings once, driving, entering the hospital, all that stuff.
So
Had
how
that
did you
on.
do the car ride? Did you do music and the 40 blinks
Yes.
to get
Yes, I
there?
had that. Yes, I had the affirmations going in my ears. I was literally blind and deaf the whole time.
It works,
Um,
man. It
it was.
works.
It was great. My husband had to like lead me into the hospital. They finally put me in the wheelchair. I'm like feeling all the bumps and everything. And we get to triage, and they end up telling me, hey, you're 7 centimeters dilated. We'll admit you like right now. Let's get you into the birth center. So I got in pretty quickly within an hour, immediately got into the tub because I was like, I just need some relief. I'm sitting there chilling, like the contractions are happening. And after 20 minutes, my body is just pushing like naturally, just like trying to shove Adelina out of me. And I'm like, trying to hide it from the midwives because water births are not allowed at Jacobs Memorial Center.
But
So
you
I was trying to
wanted
hide
to
it.
wait until you had the urge to push before anyone coached you into pushing. So you just did your thing. So great
I
job.
did. Yes, I did. I sadly cannot get around the midwife. She like was like, okay, I think it's time to get out. And so I got out, and I would say, let's see, I did about 2 hours of pushing, and I was in every position. Like it was taking so long. I was like, okay, am I gonna get through this part? But it was, they were
And it's
trying to,
hard when you get out of that water when the water's working so well because you're almost resentful.
yes. It's kind of like your body once you get out of the water. It's like, okay, like let's take a few steps back. And so I'm doing every position possible. I end up on the toilet. And finally, my husband this whole time is like yelling at me like a coach, like, you can do it, just keep pushing. And I'm like, I can't hear him really. I'm so in my head, like with the music, with the affirmations, just like, primal stuff, just going at it. And everyone after was like, yeah, he was like coach mode. And I'm like, well, that's great. Like, it
You're like, I
worked.
was
It
not in
worked.
coach mode. So
No, it's fine, whatever. So, but he's telling me, he's like, I, it looks like an egg. It looks like an egg. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It looks like an egg. It should be a head. Like, what's going on? So they moved me off the toilet to like the birthing stool because my husband wanted to catch. So after about 4 pushes, Adelina, my daughter, ends up coming out full force. She ended up pooping on me. Like, I was like, oh, she made a big entrance. And I found out pretty soon after that she was on call, which is when she was born inside the water sac. So my water had never broken, which I didn't really think about while I was going through labor. So she came out. It's like 1 in 84,000 births are like
It's
that.
very rare.
Very rare. It was really cool. The best part was she like had no trauma during the birth. Like it totally protected her. She didn't have cone head. She didn't have any like bruising, none of that. So she was like completely healthy.
And it
It
also
was just so
protected
cool.
you because having that cushion instead of straight head on cervix, it is a different experience. Still intense,
Yeah.
but it's a different experience.
Yeah. So I was like, that's really cool. And then I didn't realize that it was my grandpa's birthday on top of that, my mom's dad. So they share a birthday now. It was just really cool, very serendipitous. But yeah, Lydia the whole time was just helping advocate for me too. It was so nice. She was like, drink water. Are you comfortable? Like, is this working? Just like helping me kind of through that bourbon process. So again, like having the doula just made it so much better. My mom was in the room. That was amazing. Very emotional experience for both of us. My husband did great. He got to cut the cord. He got to catch her. And he was just like, we were just in love. And we were able to stay in that birthing room for 24 hours, which was so nice. It's so spacious.
Well, and
So
tell
it,
me about your mom being there because I got to meet her postpartum. She is an amazing woman.
yeah.
And her being the pictures that I saw were absolutely beautiful. So can you kind of paint the scene of what that looked like as you were pushing?
Yeah, so my mom, the whole pregnancy process was there for me, and she was like, if you don't want me in the room, I don't have to be in the room, but I would love to be there. And I thought about it a lot because my mom is someone who is just like a big part of my life, but also was like, is she going to be okay like seeing her daughter like pushing out a baby? Is that going to be something where she would get anxious? And I was like, you know what? I have full faith in her that she is going to just be there for me in the way I need. And she was. She like the worship music going. She was praying over me. She was massaging my shoulders during when I was doing the last few pushes of my daughter coming out. She was literally holding me. I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Like, yeah, just supporting my, like
She was
basically
on the bed
hugging.
behind you,
Yeah.
like while you were on the birthing stool.
Yes. Like so it's literally like 3 generations right there. It was like she was pushing with me and it was just so amazing. And she was just like, oh my gosh, my daughter's having a daughter. This is so amazing. Just so excited. And yeah, it's an experience that again I'm gonna like hold close to my heart forever.
Well, I'm not going to say not many people have their mom in the room, but they may have their mom in the room and not have the connection that you have with your mom, which makes a huge difference. And I talk a lot of families through that as if, are you going to be okay with you seeing her in pain? Because it's not something you can fix and she has to walk through it. And are you going to be okay with supporting what she wants instead of get that pain medication or where's the laughing gas or whatever? If that's not what she wants and is asking for, can you stand there and hold that space? And sometimes they're like, no, but I want to be there. And it's like, okay, then we just have you come in when it's push time or right after the baby comes out or as the baby, there's ways to still keep you a part of the experience. Do you know when she showed up in the birth room?
Let's see. It was actually kind of funny. I got wheeled into the birth room. So it was right when I entered, not before triage, right when I was getting into the tub. Her and my dad were in the birth room. And I looked at him like, get out. I do not want you. And he's like, okay. Like you just kind of dipped. But it was funny. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, I didn't even really want to be there. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. Which I was like, I appreciate that.
Oh,
So
that's such a cute dad thing to say.
I know he is the best. I thought it was the cutest thing. So, but once I gave birth, and after like maybe like 15 minutes, him and Paul's mom came in and got to meet her too. And I don't know, just the experience of having your baby be held by your parents, it's just like so precious. And I don't know. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm a parent and I can't believe that my parents are grandparents. So, yeah.
It's definitely a life shift. And when you had that baby on you skin to skin, did you get your golden hour and all of that kind of stuff? Because I know Paul was looking forward to that. You guys, Paul was the crack up guy in class. Like he made all the jokes, but then he asked the most serious, intimate questions to make sure he had it right. So there was such a balance. And I know sometimes his jokes, you were just like, will you shut up? And I could see it on your face. But he always balanced it with the intimate question. So and sometimes we need levity in my class. You know how that is. I mean, I make a lot of vagina jokes, but he needed to do that too. And I know sometimes that's just them blowing off steam because they're a little anxious about it. But I want you to recognize that I noticed his offset questions to really make sure he was getting it right for you. Yeah, he was super cute. How did that golden hour and him getting his skin to skin go?
It was great. Let's see. They cut the cord and immediately put her on my chest. So I just was able to have her on me even when I had like one tear. So even when they were doing that, she was on me. Um, so yeah, we had that hour where we were kind of like interrupted. I can't remember if my mom left the room. I'm sure she did, but we were just sitting there looking at her, being like, she's so cute. Like, oh, we don't really know who she looks like at this point because she's just this
She
crinkly
was just a
little
ball of
scrunch.
cheeks, and
I
she
know, just a
still
ball of
is.
cheeks.
Like,
Oh my God,
she's
she
so
is.
cute.
She was only 6.5 pounds when she was born. She's now like freaking 16 pounds. It's cute, just imploded cheeks. I love her so much. But yeah, the golden hour was, I definitely recommend just every first time, well, every parent, no matter if you're first time, fourth child, have that golden hour, allow yourself to just soak in what just happened and that your baby is finally here and you get to hold them after 9, 10 months of carrying them. It's like, wow. So yeah, and Paul was ecstatic. He's just like, she's here, and she's on his, I call it fur because he has hairy chest. She's on him, and she's just like rooting around for the boob, and I'm like, no, that's not mommy, that's daddy.
And
Yeah.
I know that there are some hospitals in the States that do not protect the golden hour. It's very quick, it's very rushed. And if you don't have one of those hospitals, that is something you have to plan and prepare for and request, and also have your partner make sure that it happens because a lot of times it does not. And luckily, Jacob's is amazing. Our hospitals here are really good with it. But if you're not in one of those areas, that is something to research and understand what procedures they're going to be offering, and that those things should be decided ahead of time. And then if things go a different way and you have backup plans for those, because you don't want to be asked in the moment.
Yes, I would say probably the one thing that we did encounter that we were, I think, corresponding with you about was the vitamin K shot. And one thing that I try to do the best before was research, have all this stuff, but then in the hospital, even if they are respecting the golden hour, even if they're respecting a lot of your wishes, they still bring things up and then they word it in a way where it's like, you could cause your baby to die if you don't give them this shot. Like it feels like a little bit gaslighting. So I was making sure, like I was firmly like, I don't want to give that, but I also was like, is this the right, like, am I right? Or and of course, like we just gave her the drops. We opted for the drops instead of the shot. And that worked really well for us. But yeah, I would just say have your plan. And then even when you're in the hospital setting and it feels like they're telling you things, if you believe it, stick to it, stick and trust like your intuition and your decision because you know what's best for your child. So
Yeah, everybody's got opinions, and you had done a lot of research, and it is a matter of talking to them and getting questions answered in the moment and still being able to decide what you want. That informed refusal is an actual thing, and we should have the informed consent to then make decisions as parents, whether that's in hospital, out of hospital, at a pediatrician's appointment, not at a pediatrician's appointment. We do go over a lot of that in class so that we don't have regrets and don't have worries, because that baby is landing on us and our worry and everything will transmit right to them. So the more information we have ahead of time to figure out what we want to do for our babies, the just simpler than feeling overwhelmed in that moment. We're already overwhelmed in that moment. So I know Paul's with the baby, but with classes and you guys opening up new doors of communication, how did that go with all that we learned in class, and how did that practice translate out at home?
Oh man, yeah. So Paul in the beginning was like, birth class, why do we need that? And I'm like, because we need to be prepared for what happens. He's like, isn't it just supposed to happen? No, it's, it's a process. Things can happen, things can come up. So when we started taking your class, I think it was a more eye opener for him of, oh, this is more intense and serious than I thought it was. And it allowed us to have more conversations of, okay, so here's what I need. I was able to tell him what I needed, like support during the birth, process and labor and everything. And he did an amazing job at it. I had made him a checklist again the night before I went into labor, and he was checking it off. He made me breakfast. He like put all the stuff in the car. He made sure the car seat was installed. He did all of that, and it felt very like nice to have that support. And also, again, our intimacy got even better taking your class, because I think for us, I was just so uncomfortable in my body during that stage of pregnancy. Like I was around, what was it, like 33 weeks when I started taking your class. So I was like, I feel like a whale. Like I don't know how you can get around that. And it was nice for us to, like, we used the 40 blinks, we used all that stuff to just give us a little bit more, what's it called? Like uh,
Connection.
connection. Yes, connection during that time. And yeah, it was just nice for us to be able to connect in a way and be like, get excited about the baby, and um, allow ourselves that space to just like enjoy the time before the baby got there. Because again, now that I'm postpartum, I realize how special that time during pregnancy is. I don't think I really realized that before.
We
Just like
don't
to.
realize it until it's gone forever.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
will tell you, those 40 blinks for sex and touching and connecting allow you just to feel pleasure and sensation without the expectation and the guidelines of what I should be looking like or etc. I'm telling you, those things are magic. They're magic when you're not pregnant. But
Yeah.
when you are pregnant, if you allow yourself to kind of give into growth instead of what you think it has to be, it's, I'm sorry, April, I'm going right back to it, surrender and
Yeah.
allowing some different kind of growth and experience that you were, am I open to this? And you did it. So I appreciate that you took the risk because it does pay off if you're willing to allow the things that used to work that might not be working to try some other things.
Yeah. No, I agree. Again, the whole the whole theme for birth and pregnancy and all that is surrender and release and control, because yeah, you're not going to get through it without doing those things.
Absolutely. And what advice would you give new parents with what you've learned, how your birth went? What do you think is the best advice you would give those new parents coming into all of this?
I think first off, for mothers, it would be to trust your baby, trust your body, trust your partner. It just goes all back to the trust and surrender of just know that your body was made for this, and that you are more than capable of getting through it, and not just getting through it, but having an amazing experience. It doesn't all have to be a negative thing. I feel like culture just paints like birth, like you watch Grey's Anatomy, you watch all these shows of like, ah, like something's always going wrong. It's not the case all the time. And another one would be, don't let the fear of the future steal your present. Like, actually enjoy your pregnancy and enjoy the newborn stage too. Because the thing is, all of that is only for a short season. And now my daughter is, I think she's 18 weeks today. And, the newborn days are gone. And I look back and I'm like, she was so small and she was just so sweet. And I just miss that. And I'm like, and then I'm going to be looking back at 4 months being like, she was so, like, oh, I miss that. And so it's just like, slow down, take the time to just enjoy the moment. It's just so precious.
Well, and one thing, and because we had this text yesterday, even when you're frustrated with the moment, you're like, this, I feel like I'm pinned underneath this kid all the time. It's so because you are a vibrant, active person before you have a baby. And then you are pinned to a couch, a chair, or whatever for long periods of time when you feel like there's other things pulling at you. And
Mhm.
it does take a lot of conscious realignment to go, okay, I know this is a season right now. Like, what can I do to have pleasure in this moment? And I like that you have that balance, because part of you was like, oh, I'm so frustrated. And then the other parts, but I also know that I need to take a deep breath and figure this out. And you can have both. You can have the moment of disgust and pain and frustration, and also appreciate it's still fleeting by. It's beautiful. I love this little baby, and I'm going to get through it. And it's not going to be this way till she's 16, but you can have both. And I appreciate that you, even in our text yesterday, had the balance of that.
Yeah, I think again, as a new mom and someone who is very active, very like, just busy, I still am doing my business. I still work out, do all these things. What else? I'm trying to start a podcast, all this stuff. I'm just like, okay, so everything can wait though. The podcast can wait, texting a client back for a few hours, that's fine. Like, let me just enjoy my daughter. Let me just enjoy watching the fact that she's now supporting her head and she just started rolling and all this stuff. I'm not going to get those moments back.
And that's a
So
big deal. Those are big cheeks to roll with.
I know. But she definitely has my cheeks when I was born. So that's one thing she did inherit from me.
Oh, they're so cute. And I know you had your mom supporting you during postpartum, and your mom went all in with the Ayurvedic foods. And I mean, when I came into your house to drop off your placenta pills, oh my gosh, like the smells. And she's like, I love doing this. It's been amazing. Having that kind of support is, number one, amazing. What advice would you give new moms for postpartum that you may have not planned for, that kind of caught you by surprise?
Like you said, the first 2 weeks I was at my parents', it was amazing. My mom was cooking all the food. She was helping me just like be comfortable. I think Paul would take the baby downstairs sometimes because the first 5 days I think I was in bed the whole time, just like allowing my body to rest and recover. So it was nice. I had like a lot of support. But then I came back home to reality, and you kind of, again, there was so much going on while I was pregnant, with the business, with just life, that I didn't really have a conversation with my husband of what I needed postpartum when we just went back to our house. And so I started noticing that a lot of the household stuff was just kind of falling on me, but like it wouldn't always get done. And then we would just end up in this place of just like overstimulation. And because, of course, I have the baby's on me. If the baby's on me and she falls asleep, that's that. Like, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to disrupt a sleeping infant. So I would definitely suggest having the conversation with your partner or your husband of, hey, how are we going to divide up the household responsibilities? How are we going to also divide up like baby care, for maybe like if you decide to do bottle feeds or stuff? I'm doing breastfeeding, so my husband can't really do anything about that. But if you're doing bottle feeding, like have a schedule so that way it's not like all in the air and then you guys get frustrated. Another thing is helping your husband, I think, understand what your needs are going to be during that time too. I have a lot of, I think, emotional and mental things that come up for me because, again, this is just such a new experience. I'm still recovering. I have to remind myself I'm only 4 months postpartum. And I'm not the same person I was before I got pregnant and even after birth. It changed twice. So it's, hey, this is what I need for support, whether it's maybe going out for a little bit and he watches the baby, or just for how you're feeling that time. I think having those conversations with your husband of just acclimating him to like, things are going to be different. Do not take anything personally. Know that I still love you. And sometimes I'm going to get irritated and overstimulated. And it's going to sound like I don't really like you right now, but I do still love you. But I'm just trying to learn how to be a mom. And it really is just like through the experience. There's nothing that can prepare you for being a mom until you're in it. So
it's a lot of patience, a lot of conversations. You're 100% right. And we can anticipate some of that beforehand, but most of it is in the moment as we're experiencing it. So you're right. Don't take it personally and have those conversations as early as possible. But also, that's one of the reasons that we work on intimacy and connection during pregnancy, so that it's not such a wide gap.
mm-hmm.
of we haven't connected in so long as we go into postpartum, because postpartum is a whole other beast. And whatever happens at the birth moves into postpartum. So if you had a really hard birth, that's what we're also dealing with, besides the physical and emotional healing, the mental healing that goes along with that for both parties is a lot, which is why we put in a lot of effort to kind of figure that out as much as possible before birth.
Mhm.
Doesn't, can't make everything work the way we want it to work. But yeah, definitely the connection and the intimacy ahead of time. So yeah, I appreciate that insight. So good. Is there anything else you would want to say about your birth or to parents or anything like that before we wrap up?
Let's see. I would say it was very beneficial having a doula. I will say that Lydia was amazing. If you get the opportunity to get Lydia, like she is far better than any of my expectations. She was
She's
like,
pretty great.
she's amazing. She's done podcast episodes with Care before, like listen to those too. She's awesome. I would say definitely get a doula. Do not be scared of, I guess, like the process of pregnancy, birth, all that. Like your body is going to be fine. Your body was made for this. Do not deprive yourself. Do not worry about the food or like exercise and any of that. Just do what feels good for your body and trust your body that it's going to sustain itself throughout. And, like even if after pregnancy you don't go back to how you were, that's okay. Your body did this beautiful thing of birthing a human.
Well, and emotionally, we're a different person. We
Mm-hmm.
grow so much emotionally, physically, spiritually. You're like it changed twice. Yep. It changes 3, 4, 5 times. And in 2 years, it'll have already changed again. It is a
Yeah.
constant involvement. And I think we don't realize that younger self before parenthood, there were a lot of involvements there, but we didn't recognize them or mark them the way we do starting with pregnancy.
Yep.
Even though it's just the same cycle, but it starts with that pregnancy. We're like, oh, now I'm a grown up. And no matter if we're 16 or if we're 36, oh my gosh, now I'm a grown up. It's a definite marker. It's a beautiful process, but I don't think it's honored enough.
No, and you really like when you become pregnant, you're like, oh, I'm woman. It's not our only purpose, but it is a very big part of what we were created for, is to bring life into the world, and not just bring life into the world, but then we get to like birth it and then sustain it. Like we sustain it through at least the first year, even more so for people who want to like breastfeed onward. So I think I would definitely focus on the positives of pregnancy, the labor, and be like, you know what? No matter my experience, at the end of this, I'm going to be getting a healthy, beautiful bundle of joy that is going to be a big part of my life for the rest of probably my life. Like I'm going to be responsible for this beautiful thing that I got to nurture and carry. So, yeah.
And I know when we're struggling with things that go on in pregnancy, it's hard to find that silver lining because there are days, right? And I think depending on because I'd had so many miscarriages, I didn't care how bad my days were. I was going to focus on the positive, even when it was so hard. And
Yeah.
I know there's sometimes we can't do that because our mental capacity is not there. Like when we have constant throwing up or, hyperemesis or whatever it is, but it is a season. It is a season.
Yeah. I don't even know if I had mentioned, but before I found out I was pregnant, I was having irregular periods from my eating disorder. And so when I found out I was pregnant, it was a big shock because I hadn't had a period since, what was it, September 2022. So I'd been over a year and a half. So when all that happened, and then it's like, oh, I didn't even realize I could have a kid. It was even a deeper, what's it called, like level of entrustment that I felt, because like I didn't even know I was going to get this blessing, and now I got it. And so that's also a reason why I think I was like, I want to make sure I take care of it so well. And I had a lot of that anxiety and stuff around it. But you know what? Like for your birth class, through like Lydia's help, even, like me taking a step back and just like taking time to rest and not stress so much. Yeah, it definitely made it a very positive experience.
Awesome. Thank you for being here today. And please tell Paul we missed him.
I will. And it was a pleasure here.
And we'll see everybody next week. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, it's your body, your choice, and finding your voice is your power. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us in all the places, and go to birtheducationcenter.com for our blog and more online education classes. And we'll see you next week.